From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter. And we are a show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and this is my beverage.
Sir, I've got a big, full beverage here today, and it tastes divine. I guess I'll share. Pineapple rum and a Zevia Cola, and it tastes like a spring morning.
We are strangely on the rum train together. This is there's this canned drink called Rocket Queen, which
Rocket
I
Queen.
bought
Okay.
because of the Guns N' Roses song, and one of my favorite songs, and I always have a fond memory of seeing Guns N' Roses at the Hollywood Bowl. And the very excited but intoxicated woman next to me leaned over and said, what songs do you want to hear? And I said this and this, and I was like, what song do you want to hear? And she's like, I hope they play Rocket Queen. And I had to say, they're actually playing it right now.
Absolutely love that. We are going to be joined by Jen, we believe, shortly.
Yes.
She's got a busy day. I'm getting the right setup for calls because we're going to be taking calls from our Patreon supporters today. So if you're a supporter over at patreon.com/ForceCenter, you get to call in and we'll take your audio. And we are going to be discussing, though, to set the tone. I guess we like taking questions all across the board, including any other center-related or Star Wars questions. But we also do that every Monday. So, Joseph, today we are discussing our favorite Andor moments.
That's right. The hype train for Andor. I guess I'm all train references today. The hype and rum train for Andor was very, very powerful. So we thought, hey, for this, we haven't done one of these in a little while, of the big monthly live streams. It'd be great to hear what some people's favorite moments are, now that they have the whole complete series to look at and the relationship to Rogue One and all that.
Yeah.
I am texting Jennifer to help her get on board.
Oh, okay. All right. I put my phone up like a jerk. Yes. All right. There you go. Yes. So we'll be taking your calls, like I said, and you want to hear your favorite moments. Come on in when you get on the show. Just talk about your moment. We'll have some questions for you. You can talk to us, and then we will get some other calls here as well. Obi-Wan Jacoby says the Revnog train, and yeah, I kind of want to get on that too. There was Jen. I saw Jen for a second.
She'll be back. I know it.
She'll be back.
I know it.
It's a Friday. It's late in the day.
Yep.
Over here. So I guess we should we just dive into some of our little favorite Andor moments? I say little, but we're talking big moments.
Yeah.
Where does your mind go?
I made a list and it started to get long. You know what? I'll start with a deep one, and we can get to some fun ones. That moment from the first episode of season 2, Cassian's "You're coming home to yourself" moment. I thought is just like one of the most powerful moments to set up that Cassian is fully committed and that he has deeply analyzed the philosophy of the rebellion for himself. And it tells me that so much of where he was at in season 1 was in a place of denial, and this is where he always needed to be. He always needed to be contributing, making a difference, helping people, all those great things. It's just when facing something as stressful as I need to join a rebellion against a massive authoritarian government and betray my coworkers because I know what we're doing is awful, like the woman, to give that such a sense of peace, to say you're coming home to yourself, is a great antidote to the reality of the stress of it.
I love it as a way to start this season 2 and setting the stakes and the themes and putting it all on the board there for what we had coming. And it's a great action sequence, but what you're focused on is the why behind the action, or just the why behind the rebellion that we're going to be dealing with. I think it's not underrated because it's fresh in our minds, but I think on rewatch that's going to be appreciated even more with the whole story now unfolded.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How about you? Where does your mind go?
My mind goes, well, Jen, are you ready? Give us a thumbs up. She's ready. Okay, Jen Landis here. I got to do that thing. Hi, Jen.
I was in the other studio since before 2.
Oh, no.
Where is everyone? Oh, my gosh. So now I'm here. Okay.
We're happy to have you here. Let me make sure. Let's see if I do. Hold on, I gotta do a tech thing right here.
And Jen, you can only be with us for like a short time, right?
Yeah, just a short time. I just wanted to pop in, say hi.
Okay, good.
That's good. That's good. That's good. No problem. So we'll take some calls after Jen leaves because I'm seeing now there's a build problem I have with the call-in layout. Because Jen, if I take a call, Jen will go away. So we don't want that there.
Oh no!
No.
I'm sorry to bump the guests.
No. The calls will happen after. Sorry.
We got
Jen,
some,
you're right here. You're right to stream. You asked just one of my favorite moments, and since we're looking at the entire series, I wanted to go back to the beginning and the attempted arrest of Cassian Andor. The entire sequence remains one of my favorite things, and really, especially since we get the end of Cyril, not quite at the hands of Cassian, but in front of Cassian and the great "Who are you" moment. I think it truly begins with those two being intertwined. The slow build from episode 1 and 2 into Luthen's arrival, some of the great moments with him, but just Cyril, the hospital square cornered uniform guy, showing up, thinking he's going to be a hero, and it going completely awry with some great action. Brasso stepping up, that great moment of him walking away from the ship, and Sergeant Sergeant Musk's swear word, breaking the boundaries of Star Wars's swear words. I just love the way that got pulled me into the show in a way that I needed. Not that the first episodes didn't hit, but it was like, okay, this is a different kind of show. We're going a little darker, a little quieter, a little somber. And it wasn't that it was like Star Wars action, pew, 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 but it was like, it was so tense. And Marva with that's what a reckoning sounds like. And then the banging of the pipes, which was taken very much from the real world. I still go back to that sequence as the thing that was the little hook in the show for me.
Did you know that Musk saying the S word was like rebellions are built on hope? He was the first one to say it, and then it got passed around, and then eventually Bale heard it.
Bale's like, this is a great word. Dank Farrick, this is a great word.
Pass it on. No, it's a ton of individual great moments all within that great sequence. I think that's great, Ken. Yeah. Jen, how about you? What are some favorite Andor moments?
I was not prepared, so I'm just going to go off the cuff. I think, like you're talking about, Ken, initially, actually, Andor did pull me in because it was shocking that we start off basically entering like a brothel, right? Or like a dive bar, whatever you want to call it.
I think we can call it a brothel.
Okay. So yeah, sure. It was a brothel. That to me was like, oh, they're going there, and they did it in a very classy way, very Star Wars, where it insinuates enough, and then we get to the deaths that happen shortly thereafter, and I was like, buckle up, baby. This is going to be very different than anything we've gotten, and it's proved to be that in both the quiet moments and the celebratory fist pumping moments like we got in season 2, the first episode, which my husband, as I said before, he was like, oh, this feels like Star Wars. I was like, yeah, I see that. But now I feel like all of it is Star Wars. It's just a very more grounded, story of these characters who built the rebellion. And I think somebody mentioned anytime with Edie, and I agree. The cereal scene will forever be one of my favorites. It just was the kind of moment that I like in Star Wars, where it's like these two characters and there's so much within their silence or for Cyril, the clinking of his spoon, right? Just brilliant. I mean, the list could go on and on.
Yeah.
And you can. We got 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, no, the Edie stuff, obviously shout out to Catherine Hunter just showing up and just bringing something amazing to that role. But the humor found in those dark scenes is something I glom onto all the time. I laugh all the time. Those episodes, it's too real at times for me. We've discussed that too with you, Joseph, as well. But just the humanity found there for Cyril, and it's not an excuse for anything that he does or anything that he thinks. But it's part of the ingredients of who he is, and it was a wonderful choice. You could have done Cyril Karn without the home life, I think, but it was a smart and wonderful, rich, rewarding decision to do it.
Yeah, I so like Cyril and Cassian as kind of mirrors for each other in seeing how the parental figures affected them. One nurturing and loving. And I know there are complications with how that Marva and Cassian's relationship started, and people have strong opinions about that. But I think the portrait of the eventual relationship is a little bit more loving and supporting than Edie. My favorite Edie scene is in season 2, not just the Dedra smackdown, but you always got the vibe that she was sort of a performing class, like trying to perform as though she were upper class when she probably wasn't. And I love how much they ratcheted that up with the way she conducted herself at dinner, like she was sort of performing fancy dinner. And then Dedra just ripped the mask away.
And one of those moments that the show is so full of rooting for Dedra or rooting for Cyril in certain moments of, and you know, a lot of it around Edie, which maybe says something much about mother relationships, right? But yeah, and the show has been celebrated, continue to do that all through the seasons of just going, all right, here's a different view of this character that's a bad guy.
Yeah. I want to throw this up from Addie real quick, who says the choice for the thumbnail, Cyril lying on the bed, is a great moment. The shot of him on the bed was just so amazing and so relatable. I read an interview with Tony Gilroy where he said that was one of the moments he was wrong about, that he saw that in the cut, and that the actor, I think we all heard the story, that the actor was asked, what do you want to do? He did that. And then Tony Gilroy saw it and was like, no, this is horrible. And then everybody's like, no, you're wrong, man. And he's like, I was wrong. Jen, why do you feel like that moment works so well when it does really a dance on the edge of being so deeply comic in a very grounded show?
It's so true to who the character is that we see these two sides of him, and they're defined, or three sides. They're defined by his relationships with Dedra, with his mother, and then there's a moment where he's going to go. He comes across Cassian, and he becomes like this scary, mercenary. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's right. He is a villain. He is a bad guy. But in the bed moment, he's been infantilized by his mom, and it is such an immature teenage thing that I would have done, where my parents are having their dinner party in the other room and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hate this, right? He feels defeated. He feels like he has no power, no say, and he's just like almost giving up. And I think it really works. It's why Cyril is such an interesting character, is he isn't just this, baddie. He's a sad baddie.
He's a sad baddie. Yeah, I want to get Ken's take, but I'll throw out real quick here. Addie saying, comic, yes, but I've had so many family dinners where that's what I wanted to do. And I really agree, as somebody who has done comedy for a long time and somebody who really likes genre storytelling, that I always think truth is what matters. I think it's why Yoda works. I think it's why Palpatine works. They are over the top. So much in Star Wars is, by definition, over the top. But it works when it's true. And I feel the same way about comedy. You can be as bonkers as you want if people feel and perceive the truth in it. And I think the fact that he's collapsed on the bed after telling Dedra, like, can we get out of this? I don't want to do this. And Dedra kind of being like, you have to be a real human. You have to face your mother. And him like breaking. Like it's so traumatic to him, of like, I've built this space I like with Dedra, and I'm going to let it be invaded by a monster who's tormented me. And I broke. Like that, the contrast between how funny it is and the horror from which it springs is so beautiful. Ken?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it has built through, the previous season, and it's how, I think all of us maybe wanted to react to Edie at one point. And I think it works as this wonderful cutaway, right? If we had seen him do a big dramatic flop, it might have gone over into what you're talking about. The truth of the moment is he's there, and I absolutely love that decision, and it speaks volumes of Tony Gilroy, who has a lot of ideas about what he wants to put on the shows, being able to say, yeah, you know what, the process led to this. And I love hearing him talk about stuff. He's still I think they're on the Emmy push now. They're doing interviews. I think you're going to hear a lot more from him. I don't know how much more he can say on the show, but I love the process into this show among all the other shows. Love hearing him on every Star Wars show, but this one for a show that seems meticulous and it is well written, but well thought out, 100-page Bible, all those things, which are not abnormal for any of the other shows. But just to hear that Kyle Solar was so into the moment that you got that home run out of it. It's great.
Jen, you have any other favorite moments that you want to share for yourself, or chats that you've seen that you'd like to share?
No, the only one that springs to mind is the one that really everyone enjoyed was the finger on the head by Krennic.
Yeah.
And that is such a small moment that speaks volumes to the power dynamic between these characters, between who Krennic is. And it's kind of funny because we see him kind of under the thumb in Rogue One later.
Yeah.
But in this instance, he has a lot more power, obviously. And it just was such a brilliant choice, as we've talked about, like where we weren't so sure about, the choking scene with Dedra. That to me was like such a small thing, and it was more powerful than a choke. It was more effective. It was more demeaning and humiliating, and that's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it works because it's weird and different, but it is so human that we all understand it to mean you are less than me. You are totally under my control. I am the finger point of, blame and shame. We all understand that, the feeling of having a finger pointed at you, to have it pressed into your head suddenly from behind, and the way that shot is framed. It echoes when he first comes in the room and is eerily standing right behind her in that sort of perfect precision, and just the precision of it. The way it's shot, I think, adds a lot to the power of the moment as well. Ken, what are your thoughts on the most upsetting finger touch in all of Star Wars?
Yeah, and even the grab he does on her right after that, I thought was actually worked for me, as opposed to some of the other ones we saw this show. It was what I love about that scene and that moment specifically there, Jen, is that we got Ben Mendelsohn back as Krennic, and it was a perfect win. It just was everything you wanted out of this wonderful performer, returning with gusto and glee to a character he loved, a story and a world that he loved. And it wasn't, my fear was always going to be Krennic at the end, or Krennic in one scene. And I think we got a good amount of Krennic. And when he showed up, it was not only just a wonderful performance, but wonderful to see Krennic, the character, who's always desperately clinging to the power he wants, kind of get it. And then, just days from now, it's all nothing. And that just, as a Star Wars fan, I enjoyed seeing that too.
Yeah, it's I love that it follows up that this is just empty venting mostly to Dedra. He does have power over her, but then he goes on to just have even more empty anger at the other ISB officer. I know other people have talked about, how important that chain of control in the Empire is that there's always a bigger fish moment. But it is really fun to almost just imagine like that image of Krennic with his finger on Dedra's head, and then we pull up and Tarkin has his finger on Krennic's head. And Vader has his finger, and then,
yeah,
a chain of fingers.
All to up to Simalu or Janus Grijatis, and then Palpatine. them watching and holding the fingers. Some comments that I was liking there too. I did. Where was that there? Oh yeah, Daryl. This is the one. Speaking of Dedra, the final shot of Dedra in the prison haunts me. Yeah, Jen, you reacted to that too. Just simple, slice of the moment storytelling that was really effective.
Oh, it's just horrible that she's going to have to sit there and stew with her life choices. And it's just, boys, it's beautifully haunting.
And just, in a way.
Yes, and just.
We'll see.
Yeah, and it's not, I don't think it's hopeful for the character, but I found it hopeful as an audience member that we might get to spend more time with Dedra someday, because I think you're just going to do a lot of hard labor helping to build the second Death Star. And then possibly try to get amnesty from the New Republic. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's guaranteed to be in there at least that long, huh? Yeah, I thought about it in those terms. I love that. Love that.
Thanks for this super chat, JC. And paraphrasing what we were talking about, Imperials getting fingered all the way down. What a recruitment slogan for the Empire.
That's our power structure. Giggity.
Should grab this other super chat. As always, the super chats are not needed, but they are appreciated, and we'll be sure to get to those questions. This comes to us from our friend Matthew Stokes. Favorite moment? Remember this moment, the perfect night. You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution is not for the sane. Jen, how did you feel about Saw going going full Saw, I guess?
I really appreciated it, because we always, when I saw Rogue One, I was like, what happened to him? And we obviously have learned a lot through the, various sources about his life. But to actually see Forrest Whitaker's performance of it took it to another level. It made it a lot more real and a lot more tragic, and just awful. And he's off the rails. He's unhinged. And I really like that we got to see that, to line it up with what we see in Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you're saying about just understanding a little bit more exactly where he comes from in his philosophy. But we've so far always seen him on missions or trying to convince another rebel leader about ideology. It was really fun to see him, for lack of a better term, almost on like a kind of horrific guy's night out. Like, it reminded me of times I've gone out drinking with friends who aren't doing well, and they are making destructive drinking choices, and they want me to as well, so they don't feel alone, and they're sharing their weird philosophy and ideology and rumors they've heard about the connection between nuclear weapons and Egyptian pyramids, and they want me to believe too, and they need me to believe too. And it just, like, it felt so real in him being like, this is how you prosecute a rebellion. This is how you deal with the pain. And I need this kid to see the world the way I do, to feel not alone.
Yeah. Wonderfully unhinged. Dave McKay highlighting, because she's my sister Rhino and she loves me. Yeah. And just, we talk often praising the character of Saw, Forrest Whitaker's performance, completely off the rails in the most wonderful way. But it makes me appreciate the Andor arc and what they did with that character's origins with Steela as well. It just makes me want to revisit that and just the tragedy of where he ends up and killing, getting Tech killed. Let's not forget that. Remains one of my favorite characters.
We got this Saw question. I'm wondering if Saw's legs are lost due to fighting injuries or side effects of the Rhino, or both. Jen, do you have new thoughts on how why there isn't much of Saw left by the time of Rogue One?
One would think. I mean, it's either going to affect your body in that way, or affect your way of thinking, that you might become more reckless and do things that would cause those injuries. And not good. Drug-free, the way to be.
If only later in the timeline Boba Fett had been there for Saw. It's gonna help anything.
There you go, Jen. Pulling out the Galactic Just Say No campaign. It's perfect. It's perfect. PLD, we got you for a few more minutes, Jen?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I saw PLD with a great one here that gets us to one of the characters we love. PLD over at PLD Projects. I just keep going back to Mothma's speech. Mon Mothma overall was my favorite part. Getting to know the background of this honestly mysterious character was so important to the rebellion. Yeah, look, that's going to be, in the end, one of my favorite things about this series is just taking a character that we all grew up with, but we grew up with her kind of being, for a while, a trivia answer. Always, there's some great stuff about her in the Return of the Jedi novelization, but that's kind of it. And then a cutting room scene, a character on the cutting room floor from Revenge of the Sith to this and that. I was watching a little clip with Genevieve O'Reilly, who's just so wonderful and great, and talking about it. It was great to, I got cut, but then it was great to kind of come back in Rogue One. But she wasn't calling it a cameo, but it was just like, I was there, I was doing the character, but now to actually fully explore it, and it all leading to that speech moment. But I had listed down one of my favorite Andor moments is anytime Mothma is at a party. Just amazing moments, whether it's that conversation of party goers kind of saying, I know Palpatine says weird things. His skeets are weird, but he is keeping us safe, from that conversation to the take home stuff in the first season to the wedding, including the dance. Mothma at a party. That should just be the spinoff. I just want to live in that world. It's just so wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think this whole thing could be a Mothma discussion. The smile scene from season 1, I think, is incredibly powerful because we see her kind of pushed and shamed by Luthen, and that's such a reminder that there is just this core of strength in this woman that a lot of people don't see, and a lot of people are doubting, and that she learned that idea that she learned from the Emperor. Show them the rock in your hand so they don't see the knife behind your back, and Tay's, edgy. I don't know, my politics are a little spicy. And she's like, oh, really? Don't ask what I need the money for. Culminating in the smile is such man, it is understated, but it is just as powerful as any of the big monologues to show just the tremendous strength of this woman. Jen, do you have favorite Mothma moments?
I think that we are very, very lucky to have Genevieve O'Reilly be such a phenomenal actor, because, they could have brought her back and she may not have been very good, and then the whole thing wouldn't have worked. They might have actually recast her for Andor. I mean, honestly, because you never know. You never know, because her roles were smaller and she was cut and whatnot. But boy, what she really gave us, and I loved about learning about the character, is she's not just like this politician, very elegant. She's charming. She knows how to work a room. She's built these relationships with people and knows how to get what she needs, but it's also terrifying because she's putting her life on the line. And then she has this husband, Perrin, and she has this teenage daughter. She's going through so much. I could have done a whole another season with just her, to be honest. I'm sad to put the character of Mon Mothma away. I want to bring her back and have her have more adventures.
Yeah, I mean, she was in Ahsoka, and if there's room, if Filoni is continuing, obviously, to explore that timeline, it would be great to see her not just be pensive and sort of sitting in judgment of a council in the New Republic, but man, I hope Filoni is watching and seeing what Genevieve O'Reilly is capable of. Put her one-on-one with Thrawn and let them devour the scenery in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. If we got Akbar back to lead a fight against Thrawn, Mothma should be around there. But also Crix Maydeen, so I don't know, we got some characters to get there. But yeah, and even
what if Filoni includes a Crix Maydeen dancing scene to be like, yeah, look, they've all got a personal side.
Yeah,
with his pointer stick.
It would be Mothma. Obviously, made a lot of sense. We're blessed to have Mothma in that series. We're blessed to have them want to tell that story. But we could do another season, include Crix. We need to know a lot about Crix, because in terms of screen time, it's in Return of the Jedi, it's the same amount almost, right? We need to know about Crix. I'll be on board for that series. Crix and Mon. There you go. Yeah, an artist said Mon carried the show. Certainly a personal opinion there, but I don't disagree in the sense of I always wanted to cut back to Mon. And when you could kind of figure out that, hey, maybe this run is a little bit less of Mon, totally fine, loved it, Gorman, all that stuff. But I just couldn't wait to get back. It's again her just sitting at a party, her just sitting at a table with Perrin, giving snarky looks as Lita, runs down her mom. Those scenes are just divine, just divine.
Yeah, I think for me is she certainly carried the hope, particularly in season 1 when Cassian was struggling and Luthen was dogmatic in doing things his way, and to cut back to Mon being like, what compromises can I make? I'm not going to be as flippant. Maybe you're right on a tactical level that this violence has to happen, but I'm not just going to be okay with it. She carried a lot of I think the hope and the humanity during the dark parts of season 1.
I agree with that. Jen, how you doing time wise?
Good. Maybe just a couple more minutes, and then that way our friends can join. I don't want to take a spot.
Oh yeah, no, my apologies for that. I love. I hugged Calibrate Your Enthusiasm, Chef's Kiss. Yes, so many great Partagas moments.
Yeah. Oh, I want to grab this super chat from Lightspeed Bear while Jen's still here. I've watched Mon's speech and Senate Escape a dozen times. Just incredible. Also, Luthen's ship versus the Imperial cruiser. Great writing and great action. Jen, how are you in love with Mothma's speech as other folks?
Oh yeah, I was going to do screen grabs and post it on Instagram just because I was like, I need to see this. I need this hope right now. And then Star Wars Explained, he did it. I was like, all right, I'll let Alex and Molly take it because they did it so well. But not that I actually watched the scene, but I think about what her words are, and there is something so refreshing and cathartic to hear someone call a spade, a monster in these times and throughout history, right? This is why the book The Emperor Has No Clothes was written many years ago, because this is unfortunately a thing that continues happening. It's so powerful, and I love that we only got a little bit of it, right? That they had written the whole speech, but we only got like a section of it.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. She did the whole thing.
So that was really, it's beautiful speech. Well done.
Yeah, and I love that there's the personal in there. She builds to it of like how much her life has been this place and her belief in this place and that sense of sacrifice building up to. It isn't easy to just name the monster's name. It really isn't. It's a big deal.
Yeah, especially in there.
Yeah.
You see any other quotes that you wanted to share, Jen?
Let me see. Oh yeah, I hogged it. There was an obvious brothel in Skeleton Crew too. The adult stuff has always been around. Certainly with the Legends, with the EU, I felt like there was a lot more adult stuff. I do feel like the live action has kind of danced around it a little bit, which is why in our news conversation, the R-rated Star Wars, what would that be like? How would they approach that? Because certainly in the comics and elsewhere, things were, violent and sexy. On screen, I feel like it's like, and we were all shocked with season 1 of Andor, where we were like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen in this bedroom scene, right? I mean, even the turn the lights out, that was a lot for Star Wars. I think we're kind of turning a corner where things are going to become a little bit more explicit.
Yeah, and for me, it always just go ahead again, Ken. Sorry.
I just want to quickly shout out Chuck Wendig for putting a scene which 2 characters have loud sex that everyone hears in his Aftermath books.
Oh my god!
I had forgot about that. Yeah, I think it continues to be about tone because yes, that episode of Skeleton Crew, great point. That's one of my favorites because I think there is a real contrast between what's going on with Jude Law and the kids. Of Jod and Nawood this is an adult pleasure planet and he's kind of trying to explain things to kids and kind of not. There's a real tension with they're not adults yet, but it's played for comedy and it's played for you can maybe get a secret massage and the brothel in Andor is depressing with awful men in it. So it's all just about tone. Like it's not to say that the brothel in Skeleton Crew isn't awful, but we're not, our noses aren't rubbed in it the way it is with like, hey, if those 2 a-holes that Cassian ends up killing are the customers, this is not a happy place.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Been there. What?
I was like,
What?
What's going on in Oga's Cantina that we don't know about? Scum and villainy. What's going on?
We know which ways the taxis can take you in Vegas and which ways you could go other directions. It's all
if you tell DJ Rex you found the hidden Mickey, then he'll show you the back room.
Oh my!
You want to go to the back room? Yeah.
Bill. Yes, exactly. The Sanctuary had some brothel influences. She kind of felt like a madam, right?
You know what? I was just rewatching Book of Boba Fett because we love that series here, and I love Garces Whip, and I love Jennifer Beals in Star Wars, and I don't think we focused on it much early on. It just seemed like, oh, it's a new, cleaner bar, and it is. But yeah, there's some stuff going on there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say something. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if we can say that on YouTube, so we won't say it.
I mean,
like a saloon,
yeah.
the little blank house, right?
And the best little blank house in Texas. Yeah, okay, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it.
Yes.
Little bit.
Yes. Best little blank house on Tatooine. Yeah, with Garza Fweb, that's probably a well-run establishment, right?
Yes.
Right.
And legitimate, above the board, sirs.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm yeah, definitely a
Christina
madam
B
in that
says
outfit.
Jennifer Beal was definitely a madam in that outfit. Yeah.
For you go, Jen. We got the super chat from Matthew Stokes here. Favorite moment. Remember this moment. And by the way, so we're all allowed to just do bad saw impressions. Okay, it's just the name of the game. I saw at least 15 of them on Instagram Reels today alone. Like it's just there. But remember this moment, this perfect night. You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution's not for the sane. A great moment and a great line that's I think gone even beyond the context of that scene. Beyond Saw, it seems to have been adopted by a lot of Andor fans and a lot of people out here. You know, Revolution is not for the sane. So I think that's going to be one of those legacy lines for the show.
Yeah. Do you agree with Saw on that specific line? The revolution is not for the sane, Jennifer. Is that something that you're gonna put above your desk?
Yeah, certainly Saw's revolution, right? I mean, it's like, and really all of them. That's what's so sad is knowing that Cassian is going to his death. Obviously for good reason, for a good cause. But yeah, you do have to. I don't know if the sane would be maybe like you have to have peace with knowing that you may not make it out. You're making the ultimate sacrifice.
There was a conversation I had in 1995 with my old boss, a program director of a radio station, and I'm this young, very sheltered, naive kid raised in a very conservative home, and nothing inherently wrong with that, but it just was, my worldview was small, but I loved history, and I was chatting with him about history and Revolutionary War or just anything, and I had the idea. I was like, I'd like to write a screenplay that kind of follows like British troops around during the Revolutionary War, and he was like, "What? You're an idiot! Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" But then we were talking about John Brown, the abolitionist, later on, and I kind of had this like smarter than thou, but not moment. I was like, "Well, John Brown, he was kind of crazy," and my boss John literally kind of said this back. He's like, "Well, then we need those crazy people to make those to fight those fights. Then that is who we need then." And that was back in 95. And that has kind of stuck with me for a long time, especially as I learned more about the situation, learned more of the history of John Brown. But to take it to Saw, and again, Saw is not someone I'm 100% on board with in a fun Star Wars-y way. Like we go back to tech, all those kind of things. But I just love that line came from him. It's a justification in his own mind that I'm worried about for him as he launches rockets into parties with kids or whatever he did, did in Rebel Rising. But in terms of the show, I'm glad it's a legacy line for the show.
I'll say.
Deeply agreed. Jen, you got time to celebrate one more character before you go?
Sure.
People are talking about many great B2 emo moments. I think my favorite is when he claims he can't get out of his charging bed until he talks Brazo into taking him home. Then suddenly he's fine to leave his charging bed. So cute. Marjo32 says Andor's little moment, my heart melted. Cassian.
Cassian.
We didn't get as much B2 emo in the second season, but we all celebrated him the first season. Where do you end up with B2 emo, Jen?
I was kind of glad that we didn't get him as much this season because there was so much going on and we were having to go back and forth between all of these characters, and the Luth and Clea storyline was such a standout. So I'm glad that, if somebody's going to have to be sacrificed, I'm sorry, B2 Emo, it's going to be you. You're fine out there. You're doing all right. Having playing tag. But it was such a sweet character. The Cassian, just, droids in Star Wars. The history is long, and the show kind of needed it. But then it's one of those things where it's like we could take the training wheels off, and it was all right. We didn't need to have something cute in season 2. Did we? Did we have anything cute in season 2? I can't think of anything besides Clea. Young Clea was adorable. And also ruthless and ruthless.
Yes, she is adorable. She, yeah. Do we have anything adorable season 2? Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I don't remember.
I don't know. There's, Cyril
nothing.
Dedra early, maybe, but even then it's dark. I don't know. And B2 Emo playing tag is adorable enough for me.
And you know what? I just realized the training wheels didn't come off because then we had a new droid, K2SO. Really, he fulfilled the droid responsibility. So there you go.
Yeah, just a slight droid break. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rick Villanueva. Hey Rick.
Oh,
Picks the Tuca. Oh, Julie K's right too. Granny in the hospital.
Oh, Granny!
Absolutely. I was watching that yesterday. Just absolutely one of my favorite moments with Claire going, what? I
Just
laughing
a little
time.
cinnamon with the cyanide. Those 2 cute moments right around death.
I love it. I love it. I want to make a paper mache Granny. I don't know how though. I've got to work on that.
Yeah.
E.T.'s Granny. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Granny scatting.
We need to get more behind the scenes on that. I don't feel like we've gotten enough. Maybe we haven't. I haven't seen it, but I have not seen enough behind the scenes on Granny.
Yeah, I need more Granny. I need Granny. I need a spin-off comic of Granny in her younger years.
From a certain point of view, we'll probably get her story in the book if they do one from a certain point of view for Andor. For Andor.
All right. Any other final ones, Jen? Or are you good?
No, I've covered brothels and creatures. I don't think I can.
All the things Jen loves.
I'm really classing up the joint. Oh man. All right.
Can't guess this right.
Well, we are never rushing you away. We also just I would ask you more questions, but I don't want to keep you.
Yeah. No, I have to go pick up my kids now.
Okay. Well, actually,
that's
okay. Can I actually? Do you have time for one more question?
Sure.
Now that you've been sitting with it longer, are you still happy with the ending of the show with Bix? With Bix and the child? Because I've seen more discussion of that, and I was curious to see how it was landing with you.
I've made peace with it. I've made peace with it because I think it will make her maybe fight harder, not wanting to give up because she does feel a responsibility, not just for Cassian, but for their child. And, okay. I feel good about it. I was very conflicted in the moment because it does feel like it takes her out of the fight. But why? Who says it has to take her out of the fight? That's in our world. That's kind of the common misconception is that women can't do these things once they have children. F that. Of course we can. Gosh, it has made me much more outspoken than I ever was. Yeah, I've made peace with it. It's all right. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't have an alternative. So
yeah. I love your point that that's not the whole story. I get that it is the end of this show and it is the resolution, but in the spirit of Star Wars, the story goes on. And, maybe there's an alternate cut where we pan across the field from Bix and her child and we see, an Imperial facility in the background blow up and like Bix is still at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they didn't do a shot of her like turning and the silhouette of her being pregnant. That I would not have. No. But it really is. It's the adorable baby, and then the thing that shifts on Bix's face, where it's like this peace and like resolve, and that to me is what sold it. Is her performance.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
love it. All right, Jed. Thank you. We appreciate you swinging by on a busy day.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, you guys have fun, and now we can get to the. You guys can get to the chats. Okay, I'm gonna leave the studio.
Leave this. Well, just stop your cam. I need to get your phone.
Oh, gotcha. I will stop cam and mute me. Okay.
There you go.
Bye.
Yeah. Technical stuff behind the stage here.
One great point here from Marjo32. Bix is talking to people on Yavin because word got to Cassian, so I think she was still rebel curious. Yes, at least. Yeah.
Valuable discussions around the moment and the decision. I agree with that. I also think, Tony had understanding what they want to do with the character. So, I give them that.
And I have the same opinion about our mutually beloved film Solo. Is you do sort of put yourself in a little bit of a corner when the title main character is one person, then other characters sometimes end up serving that character, and that leads into moments where maybe
Yep.
There's some complexity with how other character stories end when they're all sort of funneling into the title character.
The title character, indeed.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. Indeed. All right. We got some calls lined up here. Shall we go to the phones, everybody?
Yeah.
If you're a caller, that means you're a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate you. If you want to call in, patreon.com/ForceCenter. I posted the link. It went live right as the show went live today. So hop on in there if you're a new supporter. I think one of the people waiting the longest is Johnny. Johnny, if you're ready, we'll bring you on. He is ready. Oh, sorry, John, you're on the air. All right. We like to take the audio only, so you don't have to all have the pressure of having TV makeup on. Johnny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're good, my friend. Good to talk to you.
So first things first, I'm fine waiting as long as you guys want me to. I felt like, if you guys need to talk to Jen longer and stuff, I don't. So I appreciate you guys. We're talking about Andor. My favorite my favorite moment was the time that I forget what episode, but speaking of the finger point thing, when it's revealed that Dedra is the kind of the reason that her desperation to control everything is what causes the information to leak. And it's really in tune with like Leia's line of the tighter you tighten the more star systems will slip through your fingers. So I think that's an incredibly poignant way to say that the Empire kind of brings its own destruction by these insane people trying to destroy everyone. Anyway, the writing in this show is obviously freaking perfect. So anyway, that's my answer.
Johnny Starlight, I think that's a great point of just the talking about emotional. That to me is like an emotional canon thing for us, where it just connects to the big themes and the big moments and the big lines, where it doesn't need to be a direct reference to what you're talking about, but it is what is going on, and it's part of that history. It's part of that playbook of fascists and power hungry villains throughout our own time. So, and what we can only hope they will. Hopefully, the leopards will start eating their own faces, right? Like that's kind of what we want. And it was in one of those things too, where there's so many moments, even in that scene with Krennic towards the end, where Dedra's kind of like, I had to be a scavenger. There's kind of a fist pumping moment. Like, yeah, you tell him, oh wait, no, I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I like you, but I think it all comes together well there, like you said, for that moment.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think that line from Leia is to me about this big Star Wars idea of sort of the rigid and the mechanical versus the organic and the human. The tighter and more controlling you get, the more the flowing and organic is going to ooze out. And I think that's what I love about there. So many things in the Andor story are about that divide between the personal and the cause, and I think the Empire wants things to be a rigid machine. And Dedra's a human, and she became obsessed with this. I myself am on to this truth, and I need this, and I want this. These are all such human feelings she has that leads her to become a scavenger and obsess on access and read the signal chat about the Death Star plans.
Indeed. Johnny, thanks for that. Any other small moments you enjoyed that you want to share? Any tiny lines or
just
characters?
Straight up, just reading all these interviews and stuff, I've been doing acting professionally for a few months now, and just the way that these people are describing, the way they find these moments, so many things. You were talking about Andor in the very first scene, giving that impression to this new rebel. It's like, oh my god, the freaking acting. Every single character has just incredibly specific. Oh my god, I'm just totally obsessed with this show. I mean, every moment might as well be a best moment when the acting and everything is designed this finely. It's just, sorry, that was
no. It's great to be inspired by it. It is really inspiring. It makes it fun of look at how much fun it is to dig deep and to find those moments of truth and to find how they resonate is really inspiring, I think.
Lucasfilm's doing it. It makes me happy.
and look, Johnny, if you're taking any good acting courses, studying under an acting teacher, and you need to throw a scene up, you got a lot of one-on-one scenes from Andor to toss up there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you, Johnny, for calling in, my friend.
Having me, you guys.
All right, Johnny.
From Johnny to Lonnie. There's a love fest for Lonnie going on.
Yes.
Lonnie was my season 2 MVP, says Robin E. Dr. Professor says, Lonnie, my sweet ginger prince. Marjo32 says, rest in peace, Lonnie. He sat in the codes for a year and times it perfect. The hero Luthen needed was always there. Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. All right. Another call. We got Elias has been waiting, aka LE. Let's get Elias on the show here. Elias, thanks for waiting patiently. And yeah, you're on, my friend. You're on. What's your favorite Andor scene?
Oh, hello. Thank you so much. Can I pick 2 really quick?
We'll allow you to cheat. We'll allow you to cheat, sir.
I mean, the first one's easy and everyone's already been talking about it. It's Mon Mothma's speech. And the reason I picked it is it's for me watching it the first time around, and each time I've rewatched it a few times, it's such a strong moment of catharsis. Especially the way her character is so isolated and under so much pressure in season 2. She's got nobody that she can really trust close to her, it seems like. And everything is on that speech for her. And it really hit. And it was just really well done, I thought, with the acting. She's awesome. The music, the pacing. I really liked the way they split back and forth. And when she named the monster, it was that was the catharsis that was just beautiful. But my second one is kind of weird, maybe.
Ooh,
love it.
But
love it.
This was my funny line that I just love. It's when K2SO says to Cassian, "The man you don't like is here." That cracked me up so much because it was just, it was so in character for K2SO, but so out of character for the show. It was just perfect. I loved it.
Yeah.
I could very much relate to K2SO right there. That's what I would have said.
Well, both your choices are moments of honesty spoken aloud in places where it would normally be discouraged to not be honest out loud. So it makes a lot of sense.
There you go. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, and true. Yeah, the comedy of character. That K2SO works really, really well. Like he's on fire in this show when he finally shows up. But it is all like Joseph said about the truth. Love it.
Yeah, I hear the Revnog talking was one of my favorites, but almost every K2SO line was killer. But I also it does such a funny line, and the tension was there and the setup was there. But I also liked that it was such a great. Let's be really clear about this. Cassian doesn't like Bail Organa, which set up their great moment of like. It makes a lot of sense to me for a lot of reasons, but it set up that nice moment of them kind of coming together a little bit more, and that really powerful "May the Force be with you" line, connecting not only to Star Wars history but to the destiny that Cassian felt.
It did, yeah, very much.
Awesome.
Well, thanks you guys, and I just want to say thank you guys, and I love you guys, and love Jen too. I know she's like me, a single parent. I mean, I'm a single parent. I got no time for nothing, so I'm so glad I could catch you guys one time on a work day.
We're happy to have you here, man. We're happy to have
thank
you.
you.
We appreciate you so much. Elias,
Thank
everybody. You. Elias, caller to the show. The Cassie moment. Yeah, the Bail moment. I'm not doing like a full rewatch. I'm doing like, I'm gonna watch episode 8, or I'm currently like rewatching episode 10 slowly when I'm out in the gym or cooking or something like that. But I can't wait for a full rewatch. But you and I have discussed it, Jen and I, and you discussed it. The Bail in the show, I'm fascinated with. How they treated Bail, and I've made the joke, they did Bail wrong, but I almost mean that with respect to the show. Like I love how they just kind of dropped him in there because he is this esteemed character. We have a lot of love for him. I love it. And of course, we love Jimmy Smits, and this isn't a conversation about the recasting, but it's about the character. But I love that in the tension of this time, where there is a fracture and this growing rebellion that needs to be healed, they're trying to come together. That, Bail's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of know-how. He's seen some shit. He should be a bit of a conflict point, I think, as he tries to move forward. But then to end with the Force thing, to end with the May the Force be with you, and kind of have him connected to the spirit of all of it, I thought it ended up really well. But it's been a journey with Bail for me. in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really agree. El Hadaga says Bail also had the embarrassment of his people being compromised too. Yes, when trying to get Mothma, didn't help with his relationship with Cassian. I also feel like there was an effort to go, let's respect the character of Bail Organa by making him, like every other character in Andor, seen a little bit more multifaceted, so he feels real, not just like a totally infallible hero, right?
Yeah.
And I think I think that Andor has always had a real sense of class, not classiness, but the social class. And Ferrix is shown to us with such respect. One of my favorite moments is the time what the time banger. I forgot his name.
Time banger, the time grappler.
Time grappler, the time banger. Anyway, my point being,
here's my custom time grappler, but I like him as the time banger.
Time banger, time grappler. I was going to make a beautiful point, and I ruined it with Time Banger. That's my new sci-fi series, The Time Banger.
Yep,
anyway, point being, I understand why Cassian, growing up hard, growing up on Ferrix, which is very working class, presented with great respect, would be like, the truth of Bail is he's a royal who's lived in the Senate, whose his thread count on his sheets has always been high. So I understand a little bit of Cassian going, how much is that coloring your point of view of this is theoretical to you, and you've sacrificed for it, yes, but you haven't been in the mud. And Bail, how many eyes have you watched the life drain out of on the field the way I have? Right. So I think that tension in there is really great as well.
Yeah, no, I love that it played out. It's one of those things that, you know, I don't want to over-explain myself here, but it's just I know in the podcast world, we've been doing this for so long. In the punditry world, it's just like it's okay for a character to challenge you, even if it's a character you love, and just kind of go on the adventure that the show's telling you to, or bringing you along with. And Bail's one of those things where I got a little defensive, but I was defensive for Mothma in season 1 too. I think you and I talked about that as honestly as we could. Some of the stuff with Luthen, where I'm like, nah, this is Mothma's rebellion, you putz, you antique dealing put. Like, what are you doing here? But it wasn't just because we grew up with a certain view of Mothma. That has a little bit to do with it. But I love that the show respected the characters and legacy and the lore, as it also challenged it.
Yeah. I didn't feel like he was a villain. I just felt like he was approaching things his way, and he's right to be cautious about Luthen, and Cassian's right to be respectful of what he learned from Luthen. And I love it. I love a show where, like, I like both these guys, and I agree with both of them, and I understand why they're mad at each other. It's nice.
Yeah. You ever have... You're in the middle of Friends on that situation. You're in two separate text chains.
Yeah, I think you're both wrong. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Motes does point out this, and it's a truth. I think it's a missed opportunity that HasLabs hasn't put out a working time grappler alarm clock. I could be happy with that.
Absolutely. And I don't know why they haven't made that action figure either. I mean, they just want to tool the hammers, I guess.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, the time grappler I do want to mention is one of my favorite moments, because I think it is one of the ways that they give such respect to Ferrix. It's coded as working class, but Time Grappler is performing a very practical function. It's the beginning of the day and the end of the day, but taking the time to show him in the way it is a ritual with reverence, with specific tools that must be performed the correct way and with spirit, is like giving so much respect to a picture of a working class culture. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the fifth book in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when Arthur Dent's on that planet and he's the sandwich maker of the village, and there's a lot of respect on him. That's the time grappler. That's the time grappler to me. There's a lot of respect.
The sandwich grappler, yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. When's the time grappler Spartan kicked a stormtrooper?
Yes.
Yeah, Troy says. Plus he boots the Imperial down the stairs. It's fantastic.
Absolutely love that. All right, we got some comments. We can clear some of those and then we got Will, we got Addie lined up. Lydia, Brian has this comment. You see Tony Gilroy referred to the idiot rebels as the quote idiot rebels, which is great, because as I think now everyone knows, his son and his son's best friend are the rebels or something, because that started an actual dinner conversation. So he cast them. His son, I forget his name, but he's the lead rebel, one of the lead rebels. Hollywood is alive and well. I saw a YouTube video today. Will Hollywood ever fix its Nepo baby problem? No. Svetnik said this, can't call today, but my favorite Andor moment is still never more than 12. Just thinking about it gives me some chills. It's also another great example of Cassian's ability to lead. Yeah, I wrote that down too. I love digging deep and finding the tiny moments, and we can celebrate where's Clea for now to the end of time. But that's just an as advertised moment. Rewatching that before season 2 began, that whole arc, it just builds and it builds and it builds to that moment, and you want this to happen, and you want him to say it, and you want the answer, and some people just need to have it shoved in front of their face, and the horror of what happens in front of them with their older inmate dying in front of them. It's such an earned moment. It's such a fist pumping moment, and which also I'm glad that we didn't get Keenan Aloy in season 2. I had a thought that they might, and I thought I heard rumors, and that's why you shouldn't always listen to rumors. Glad where they left it.
I Can't Swim is probably the Never More Than 12 is fantastic, but I Can't Swim is that sort of I did this because it was the right thing to do, because I was made by the Empire to be this sort of leader of people. Yeah. And now I will do it for real. I will lead them to something good, but I can't, it's a great mirror of Luthen's, like, I'm building a new dawn that I'll never see. It is in that I Can't Swim moment, which is so great. And I also think the build up to it, Cassian pressuring him specifically, is the show does a really good job of not just telling us Cassian's got talent and is a natural leader, like he's a thief, he's good at that, but also like you and I were talking off air about some of the producer work on my plate trying to make a film, but like Cassian's a good producer too. He's a good Rick McCallum of like, he comes into the prison, he's like, what needs to get done? Let me break it down into tasks and let me work the person who needs to do which task and give which piece of information. Like, he's a good leader on like a real practical level, which is inspiring to me in the moment.
I love that. Love that. Love that. David points out a truth. He's chanting one way out when he knows the way out is to swim. Absolutely. No, great stuff. Earned, like I said. Maddie Gunner has this one. My headcanon is one of those idiot rebels is the what is she proposing guy. Love that.
I hope so.
Love that.
And then,
little one here.
The person saying let her speak has to be the other rebel that he fought.
Yeah, they're still going on. Dr. Professor says, this shout out to my guy, Vetch. All you had to do was stand there to win my heart. It's so true. Vetch shows up, episode 1? And at least 1, maybe 2. But love him there on Ferrix. And for a show that I think at times correctly got criticized for not having a ton of other species in the series, at least not featured prominently. And I'm okay with it in an overall way. But I love Vetch being there, and I love the comedy of Vetch.
Jeannie from Tahini says, I loved how Cassian let Kino lead. He didn't grab that microphone. He let Kino say it all. And in fact, encouraged him and said, is that all you got? I'm paraphrasing, but like that is, he was totally like, you have this in you to lead people. You lead us all the time. Say it from your heart. Lead us. Cassian knew what the people needed.
I'm glad you brought that moment up. It's one of my favorite little things is you could have just easily had Kino Loy lean into the microphone and give that speech that he ends up giving. But I love the moment because it's something that can translate to, it's something that I battle with creativity wise, do I want to go on stage and tell jokes, or do I want to go on stage and be myself and really give the audience something they want? And I struggle with that. And I struggle because it's fear, right? It's you're locked into a way of thinking. There's all those things going on in Kino's mind in that moment, and then have Cassian just be kind of like, is that all? No, we need you.
Yeah,
I love it. It's a great little moment.
Got this kind super chat from Hugo Chavez. Just want to say thank you for the amazing discussions, especially on Andor. I just rewatched the sequel trilogy and found it incredibly relevant and moving and directly related to all the themes in Andor. Greetings from Vegas. We love Vegas. So greetings to you and to Vegas. Thank you for the kind super chat. And I haven't rewatched the sequel trilogy in a little while, but I certainly thought a lot of, in particular, Poe and Finn's shared speech in Andor or in Rise of Skywalker about, what is needed to fight and not letting the legacy of the past, what our mothers and fathers fought for, we will not let die.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yep. We love Rise around here. I just saw Rise at the Academy screening, and still those really what I call political moments, but they're political from the streets. They're the there's more of us Poe moments, and it's just people. They still move me, especially in connection with the rest of Star Wars and political, overtly. It's all political, as we always say here, but the overtly over the top political of Andor or Bad Batch or even Solo, like you and I discuss. Love it. It's all connected.
Yep.
All connected. All right, should we? And by the way, Hugo, thanks for that. Do me a favor, Hugo. Please go down to a casino floor the next couple days and play some Wheel of Fortune slots for us, okay? Please. I've been craving some Wheel of Fortune slots.
Yeah. There's a Dean Martin slot machine in the Luxor I enjoyed in particular.
Ooh, yeah. Oh man. I'm getting the Vegas itch. I haven't been like 3 years. Oh. I can hear the sound of the casino floor calling me. All right. We've got Addie on the line here now. Addie, she is our resident professor of smart things over on the Blathering Show. Also a big fan of Padme. Addie, how are you doing? And what's your favorite Andor moment?
Hi, guys. My favorite Andor moment is a weird one, but directly related to who I am. I really appreciated across both seasons, to the point of distraction in the last arc of episodes, that Luthen Rael is as big a Padme fan as I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the headdress from her going undercover in Attack of the Clones in the shop in season 1. And to the point of distraction, when Dedra comes to arrest him, he has her headdress from the Imperial throne room from when the droid army invades Theed. It's sitting right next to that the whatever the heck she pulls out, and like that's what she sets it down next to in the shop.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yeah, the Sarpath unit. I love that. Well, Addie, let me ask you about this. Like obviously people noticed the Padme headwear in the first season, and I think a lot of fans had the like, is that Padme's or is that just Naboo or whatever? But now we know that Luthen and Clea spent quality time on Naboo. Does that information change how you feel about whether these are generic headdresses, not generic, but royal headwear from Naboo specifically versus specifically Padme's?
I mean, if we're going to go down the rabbit hole of canon and the E.K. Johnston novels, like yes, they belonged to probably the royal, whatever the equivalent of the royal collection and the crown jewels of Naboo are, that they hopefully got by less controversial means. But the I like to believe they're Padme's because I always like there to be those little snippets of connection and acknowledgement of her in modern storytelling, since we still can't say her damn name. But I also I think it also just goes to Luthen's obvious obsession with Naboo, which I think you guys rightfully pointed out in that last Andor review that you all did, probably is centered around the fact that Palpatine is from Naboo, which I think is a fact that even I forget sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the obsession is necessarily with Padme or if it's just with the fact that that is Palpatine's homeworld, so let's hit him where it hurts. But I do like the idea of it being Padme and a little nod to her, especially with the deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith, where she is part of that spark of the rebellion, and that story never really getting told on screen.
Yeah, I love that. I'm all for the headcanon that it is Padme's, because it does seem like Luthen is, he's obsessed with poking Palpatine in ways that he thinks he can get away with. Certainly blowing, setting off bombs on Naboo in specific. But also he would know the history of, hey, one of the people who almost did stop the Clone Wars is Senator Padme Amidala, with the attempt to stop the Military Creation Act. And so this is a way to needle him, to put her headwear in his shop.
Yeah.
Works for me. Absolutely. Yeah, as David points out, Padme was the leader of the opposition against Palpatine in the Senate. And Addie, I don't even call it a running joke, but we've had the running observation here at ForceCenter and other parts of the Star Wars fandom probably say the same things. Just, we'd love to hear her name at least one more time on screen. They just had it in the reign of the Empire Mask of Fear book, which I know you enjoyed, Addie. But if we can't get the direct mention, at least it's things like this. I just love them being on Naboo for all the reasons, the Palpatine of it all. As Laserbolt says, we forgot that R2 is for Naboo as well. So, little childhood home of R2. But I love that connection to our favorite, Padme.
Yeah. I love it so much. And like, just say her. I'm gonna go all Batman. Say her name. Like, good grief, Martha.
I feel like, come on, Ahsoka season 2. We've got some real opportunities with Ahsoka. Had a separate relationship with Padme that was about her relationship with Padme, and if she's processing things and passing things on, she can say Padme's name.
I still want the chat. I know you've talked about like the fireside chat between Ahsoka and Luke where Ahsoka knew Anakin, but like Ahsoka also knew his mom. Like I want that connection so much. I just finished rewatching Kenobi this morning because I'm I work with background noise, and this summer I've decided to work to live action Star Wars in chronological order.
Wow.
And I just finished Kenobi this morning, and just the nice little drop of like the wise and discerning and the forthright and like all of that. Like, but just say your name.
Yeah.
Say
Yep. We'll get there. I think we'll get there.
I'm done.
I think we'll get there one day. Great stuff, Addie. I appreciate it as always. And we'll continue the Padme headcanon with you.
Of course. Natalie said she's on board. Let's do it. She made a May the 4th post on Instagram.
Oh yeah, come on.
While the iron is hot.
Yeah. It's been she came around by the time those digital shorts on SNL aired, at least enough to reference them, I think. Tell me about the mother bleeping prequels. Love that thing. But yeah, now she's ready. Let's do it. Let's do a flashback. Let's do it. So, all right. Thanks, Addie.
You're welcome, guys.
Thanks.
All right. There's Dr. Addie right there. Love that. Very generous super chat from Hernan here. Thanks for the insight, thought, and unadulterated fun you bring to all things Star Wars. It would not be the same without the three of you. We appreciate you all.
Thank you.
We really, really, really do. All right. We got about 45 left in the show here. We'll give you the clock countdown here tonight. I got a big comedy show tonight. And yeah, Joseph's making a feature film right now. So we're going to make sure we have some time.
Yeah.
Any other comments popping out to you, sir?
Well, this one just came in. I do want to highlight, because I agree with from a Mandalorian. The escape after Mothma's speech is my favorite. We watch Mon absorb and realize she is not alone while she experiences the violent and brutal consequences of rebellion for the first time. Yes, the power of that code phrase of "I have friends everywhere" is well played throughout the last couple episodes, but particularly that moment when she sees and I think senses she can trust Cassian, combined with the absolute shock of the horrific violence, particularly against the driver, the reality of it in the whole welcome to the rebellion vibe from Cassian is fantastic.
Yeah. Though, I think we all had that reaction to Cassian of like, hey, calm down. She's been around. But to what you're saying, and it was played so well. The actual, it's here, right? It's kind of like, it's no longer whispered. This is all happening. It's all here. Welcome to the rebellion. Love that. Love that. Going to this one here again. Hello, David talked about there's so many to choose from. Mine might be a bit easy, but Marva's speech for me all the way. Such an inspiring piece, especially the music building up, and she talks great. Yeah, everything about it. I love it. Combined with the Brasso moment. I just put down also Marva's that's just love exchange with Cassian. Kind of just pulls you into the character even more. Obviously, Fiona Shaw, one of our best actors out there, just absolutely delivered. And again, one of those moments where it's not just a greatest hits album. It's a hit for a reason. Marva's speech absolutely is important, and I'm so glad it's in Star Wars.
Great moment of acting, the slow build of it. Like so many things in Andor, it is so connected to the individual person's culture and that ritual of speaking, pre-recording a message, and being in the square, and how much reverence she gives to that. And the "we've been sleeping" is yes, particularly powerful, as that is one of the greatest dangers. And a great connection to Mothma's speech, like her naming and shaming that the monster is Palpatine is a real like we're not sleeping anymore moment.
Yeah, love it. Blessed to have those moments. While we're talking about moments, we'll see if anyone wants to go in deeper for the caller thing. But just Nemec and that character, this soft-spoken but strong character that I think you needed to show that person in this rebellion. You needed to show that it wasn't all busting down doors. It was this thoughtful, insightful person willing to go bust down doors, willing to be part of it, willing to be out of a comfort zone, because that was the right thing to do and deliver that great speech that comes back at the end with Partagas. And Partagas's absolute fear and just lack of understanding of how this can keep growing. The Nemec stuff is always going to be one of my favorites.
I agree. I think Nemec is one of my favorite characters, and I don't think I'm as smart as Nemec, but I also relate to the scrawny guy who wants to talk about ideas, and especially in comparison, not Luthen's thinking philosophically, Mothma's thinking philosophically. Lots of characters are thinking philosophically, but on that team on Aldhani, people are worried about life and death and revenge and what was done to them. And he's the guy who's like, I would like to tell you about the themes of the rebellion. I still remember
Nemec's
being
podcast.
It's Nemec's podcast, and like I think I've talked about this before on ForceCenter of like being taught that learning is good and thinking about things is good. And then I went to a Thanksgiving dinner with my family. And there was a skin on top of the gravy, and I had just learned the word coagulating, probably from a Doctor Who novelization. And I was like, the gravy's coagulating. And everybody was like, well, who do you think you are, Mr. Big Riches, to use the $10 word for the gravy's effed? I think I've had that experience times in life where like I say, I want to express what's the idea behind it, which I know everybody listening and watching this knows that's what we do. And being sort of like, what are you talking about? And Nemec is so a champion of, we need to understand it. We need to get down into the bones of it and communicate it. It can't just be about the Empire killed my family, so I'm going to kill them. Like that's important, but it is deeper than that, and it needs to be expressed. And to see the power of feeling like Nemec's this scrawny nobody in quotes, and seeing that that's what Partagas has to listen to, of like, and wonder, I wonder who did this. I wonder who put into words the truth that has ended my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Nemec of it all, jokes aside, like he's the why of the rebellion, right? He's got his eye on that. Because you're right. Otherwise, it is just embers that burn fast, and some of it, maybe all of it, justified. The fires of passion are probably justified. The axe the tree remembers, the axe forgets, right? Like yeah. But without a deeper understanding, it might fade away faster. Love that there. Coagulate your enthusiasm, says I. Love that. All right, we got a couple calls lined up. If you want some calls, sir. We also got some comments.
Yeah,
there.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. We got Will, our buddy Will Dixon, calling in here tonight. Will, how are you doing, my friend? And what's your favorite Andor scene?
I'm living the romance and realism of Star Wars right now as I'm simultaneously contemplating Nemec's manifesto and thumbing through Aftermath looking for the steamy sex scene that you mentioned earlier.
It's the third book, right? It's later because it's two characters that are kind of swimming around each other for a bit. I can't even remember.
If I can give you a brief reading, I found a page that said lightning flashes, and I'm like, oh, this must be it. And then I keep reading thick, slovenly, his body encased in loose blood red. I'm like, oh, it's Dengar. So that's not it.
Amazing.
Only a matter of time. Only a matter of time.
Amazing. Will, what's your favorite Andor scene or scenes?
Well, I don't have a scene picked out per se. I really just wanted to mention Dedra, her entire arc from season 1 to season 2, because I feel like they really got us rooting for her in season 1. You really kind of, whether you want to or not, even if she's wrong, which we all know that ultimately she's on the bad guy's side, but you can't help but kind of want her to achieve right, and I think that was well conceived. And then to lure us in that way, where you get them on that side, and then to pull the rug out from underneath us as viewers in season 2, and kind of reveal that she is a cautionary tale, because on a human level, she could be any of us. Regardless of political affiliation or anything like that, you can be sucked in to toeing the line for whatever team you're on, and not pay attention to the fact that you've been hoodwinked, ultimately. And whereas like Luthen, we give him permission because he's on the right side, even though you can look at his individual choices and think that, well, he's not, he shouldn't have killed Lonnie at the end, or he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that. But Dedra, we give her permission, even though we know she's wrong for a long time. And so it's easy to see that, for her to finger point and say she should have chosen differently. But I just felt like her build and fall get us, doing some mental gymnastics over trying to kind of settle on a spot with her. And, but so scene wise, I would just say her straightening her Imperial dress after making the call on Gorman, I think was really well done. And I don't know how to say the actress's name. Is it Denise Gough?
Gough.
Oh, she killed it. She was, that was just so well done. So that's my choice.
No, it's a great choice.
Yeah, fantastic. I think I said on the main show, I walked into a toy store in Minneapolis and saw the Dedra action figure, and I initially had been like, I don't need a fascist bureaucrat, and but after season 2, it's like such a complex, multifaceted character, and people in chat are talking about, did she have real feelings for Cyril and all that? And I think she really did, and I think that's part of what humanized her so much in season 2, of that she did care about him, and she made that choice to lie to him, and that's what undid so much for her.
Yeah,
I hung Dedra on my wall next to my Vel. Joseph, there's your solution to how you can kind of work both.
I need to get a Vel to balance it out. That's going to be my mission. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, no, well, it's a great choice. There's so many performances to choose in this series, and it's just all about what you glom onto. And yeah, I like what you're saying about the cautionary tale. There are those moments. I never thought she was going to turn or rip the uniform off and grab a rebel insignia, but just you get the idea that she knows some of this is wrong by the time it's really going. But her refusal to see that, to pull out, to change course, it only digs in deeper. And as Serenity Jane says, I'm glad she ended up on Narkina. Probably the right spot, but still a tragedy, and still a cautionary tale. And Gilroy having so many comments out there about, this is fascism tears down the people that build it up as well. Like it's just usually the power on the top that gets any kind of victory, if you even call it that in the end. But yeah, and her being trampled underfoot is one of the things I loved about the show.
Yeah, I love the ability to interpret why she didn't want Gorman. She had the right idea for Gorman, but she didn't say it out loud. Krennic demanded that she had the right idea in terms of the Imperial tactic.
Right.
But she didn't want Gorman because probably too many eyes on her. She wanted to stay tuned to Access, but also a little bit of that, hey, I know the brutal, awful thing the Empire should do, but I'd rather not be involved in doing it myself. And that seemed to follow through with her personal reaction to what happened on Gorman. I was like, I didn't want to personally be here. It makes me it makes me think that, in a different circumstance, the character could have had her eyes opened. And that's indeed a tragedy.
Indeed. Well, thank you, my friend, for calling in. Thank you for the book reading.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Anytime you find sexy Dengar descriptions, please let us know.
I'm going right back to it after I get off.
There you go. And I think Nick chat said the scene you're looking for is in book 2. So there you go. Enjoy. Happy reading. Thank you, Will.
Take it easy.
We'll call it in. Love that there. Yeah. Great stuff there. All right. We got Chris lined up here. Chris, you're on the show. Welcome to the show. Live here with Joseph and myself. What's your favorite Andor scene, buddy?
Thanks for having me, guys. I just finished up the school year today, so I'm kicking off summer with ForceCenter.
Nice.
Nice. Congratulations. That's such a great feeling.
Yes, it is, especially when you're the teacher. No offense to the students, I wanted to actually it's a pair of scenes, one of which Ken already mentioned, which is the kind of like what Marva speaking to Cassian about what love is, and it's worrying about someone all the time. That paired with Brazo's his line to him where he said to Cassian in the season 1 finale, I believe it is, where he says, tell him I could, I love him more than any mistake he can make, or I forget the exact line, or anything he could do wrong. And I think I have a couple of reasons why. I think for me personally, it speaks to why I think it's always important to revisit art and how art is always constantly evolving, which Ken, I think I've talked about this on the Blathering a couple of times, but I forget if I mentioned on ForceCenter, my mom passed away. It'll be 2 years in September. And so when Andor first aired and that scene happened, she was still around. She was sick, but she was still here. And then I watched season 1 leading up to season 2 with her being gone. And it just, those two exchanges hit me in such a different way. And then also just watching season 2 of the show now, and with my seniors having just graduated, I'm a high school teacher, I've been thinking a lot about legacy. And I like to think of, Cassian is his own individual person. So much of his arc in season 2 is fighting for the individual, what he needs, what he wants. But I also like to think of him as this living, breathing legacy to Marva. And that's what we could be for, I don't know, the most important people in our lives. I always tell people, whether they're my students, my friends, when they compliment me, I go, well, that's just a reflection of my mom. I go, she raised me. She, anything good that I am, I learned from her. And I think about Cassian fighting the rebellion, and I think that's what he learned from Marva. So that exchange, those two exchanges, I think are still my two favorite moments of the show. Although I loved all of it from beginning to end.
That's really well said. I totally agree with you about how art changes with us, and we always bring our perspective to it. Is really, really powerful. And I like that season 2 had a light touch with Marva. Obviously, her portrait was present in their home, but Cassian continuing to battle that deep love for family and that commitment to, like his mom said, fight the Empire. And try to do right by her in the love that she gave him, in the value of family that she gave him, and in the the instructions to fight the Empire.
Absolutely.
Chris, as always, you speak so well on things. I'm so happy that the future of many kids is in your hands. But I really, you're touching on something beyond just Andor. I think what we love celebrating here at ForceCenter about Star Wars, this franchise we love, is those moments that reach out to us personally, and those moments that do change over time, like you and Joseph just talked about. And all of Star Wars has that. All of Star Wars has the potential to reach us deep within our hearts, and that's why we keep coming back. And Andor, is as lauded as it is for all the right reasons, the acting, the writing, the performance, the gritty, the dark, the grounded, it still delivered those moments too. It never forgot to be personal. And I think that's why it'll stand the test of time too. So Chris, thanks for sharing that, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for saying that last bit, Ken, about it's those human relationships. I think that's why the show succeeded. It wasn't, I'm not going to get on my my conversations or on my platform here about the discourse about what is gritty Star Wars, what is real Star Wars. But it's like, to me, it's the relationships between the characters, in the same way that, like, in the sequel trilogy, why I love it so much is the complex relationship between Rey and Kylo Ren, which is why I love the original trilogy, because it's Han and Luke, and Han saying to Luke in Return of the Jedi, like, now I owe you one. It's, if we don't care about the characters, I just finished teaching my screenwriting elective at the end of this year. I'm an English teacher, and I made them do and so Joseph, when you've been talking about your film a lot this year, I've been thinking about you, and it's I was telling them, I was like, well, we're gonna do you're gonna do a character grid and a character kind of interview first before you even come up with a story, because you got to know who your character is. Good stories come from character, and and that's why we love it. We love everything. We love the pew pew pew. We love the Jedi. We love all that stuff. But and that's why you guys are the best podcast around. So.
Well, thank you, Chris. Very appreciated, and yeah, and thank you for teaching the young ones valuable lessons on multiple levels.
Yeah,
indeed. Thank you.
Appreciate
Chris.
it, guys. Have a good one.
I appreciate you, Chris. Always great, and yeah, Addie backs it up. Don't underestimate how great it feels to be a teacher on summer break. Absolutely.
Yeah, just jumping off of what Chris said quickly. I rewatched the first. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, so we watched like the first 20 minutes of Empire Strikes Back. It's been a long time, and just I know I've said this before, but that film is all about how much they love each other and don't want to lose one another. And Kirshner just holds these shots on Leia's face to see how much she's worried about Luke and Han, on Han trying to find the words to say how much he's worried about Luke walking away. It's so simple, but so powerful. And the whole pew, pew, pew versus gritty conversation is complex. But my positive thing to say about that is I think Star Wars remains popular and resonant because even if you don't want to analyze those moments or kind of give them their due, they seep in. You watch the original trilogy and you don't ever have to write an essay and go, it's because the shot on Han's face was held for an extra 3 seconds. You don't need to know that. You feel it in your bones. And if it was just pew, 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 it would not have lasted. It's because of that human, that story has been told so well that Chris is talking about.
Many things that sprung up around Star Wars in the late 70s and 80s that lacked that, right? That tried, that are now footnotes. And some succeeded as well on their own, but Star Wars is definitely there. And Brent says this: I use Star Wars to cope with losing my father young, especially the way lessons are passed on from parent to child. My daughter never met my dad, but she knows him through me. So, yeah, that's why we keep coming back. That's why we do 4 episodes a week. And I love the moments where it moves me, right? I love the cool moments, love the outfits, love the capes. Yep, that's why I bought the ticket in the first place. But yeah, Andor had those moments too. Yeah, the Marvel stuff. I was thinking about that this morning, coming up a list. Like, it's not celebrated as much, so I'm glad Chris was able to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's deserves to be celebrated.
We're looking at no calls lined up. So if you want to call in, if you're a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/ForceCenter, get in there. You'll see a post that popped up today. Get the link to call in. We'll take your audio. We got about 25 minutes left in the program. We got a super chat here from Juan Truth. Hey, how about a Tony Gilroy series with Mon Mothma and the Survivors of Andor? Many Bothans died to give us information. A prequel to Return of the Jedi. Look, it's since Rogue One came out, this has been kind of the reference, right? But and I don't think it would be Tony. I think Tony's not done with Star Wars in his soul anymore, but I think he's done with the workload and going on to work hard on other things, to be clear. It sounded like I was saying he doesn't work hard, but just, he's admitted to being overwhelmed, and that's why 5 seasons of 2. But you got others involved. You got Dan Gilroy. I don't know if he ever does work outside of his family, but, you got a lot of people. And it reminds me, no matter what people think about Benioff and Weiss or Game of Thrones, but this House of the Dragon comes along, and you pulled some people forward from the original series, but it was a core team still working in the same world. And it packs a punch and packs a different punch. And nothing's ever going to be as popular as the first 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. It was a zeitgeist event that is going to be hard to be repeated. But I'm more confident that something like this, where it could be the same team members that slide over to do their own thing. And if they were like, cool, we're going to explore Mothma, Akbar, Crix, getting the second Death Star, whatever. I'd be on board now more than ever. More than just a reference or a meme. I'd be ready to explore it.
Yeah, no, I mean, before Andor came out, we talked about that line a lot. People made the joke about, it's Rogue 2 and not the Death Star plans, blah, blah, blah. But that great choice in Return of the Jedi to give that line such humanity, to say that the rebellion is a place that cares and that Mothma is haunted by this. I think after Andor, it makes me feel like I want to know the story, and I want it to be that the Mothma cares about everybody, but there's something personal there that she's involved in the planning, the recruitment, knows who the Bothans truly were, and all that kind of stuff. I would love to dig in and what a great thing it would be to turn that just so there should be Rogue 2 about the Bothans joke on its head. Make it like, all right, here you go. It's
real. You asked for it. Here you
asked
go.
for it, and it ain't a joke,
Start crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got some people in the family, like Dr. Professor points out. Yeah, we know Bill will have been working on the Dawn of the Jedi script with Big Jim Mangold. So, yeah. I think they all probably enjoyed it. And like I said, I would not be surprised in a couple years that Tony was like, all right, maybe I could do something. But he seems like he knows what he wants to do in the next phase of his career. Though it's a tragedy. The next project he's working on with Oscar Isaac, I think, on board, he can't get financing for it because it's just a goddamn state of the industry right now. Like, you come off this show and you can't get someone to finance your film. It's crazy to me. Different conversation, maybe.
Don't get me started. I mean, like,
maybe I wanted to get you started. Maybe
the whole film financing thing. Yes, I've had some experience with independent, but just obviously a huge fan of David Lynch, and in his passing, I'm very glad to see that people have sort of said, okay, it's just kind of culture agreed on that he was, a genius and all that. And then sometimes they're like, why didn't he make more films? Because he couldn't get the money. Because he couldn't get the money. There could be a minimum of 2 to 3 more David Lynch films in existence if he could have got the money.
Yeah.
And let's not have that with Tony Gilroy. Let's get him the money.
Get him the money. Get him the money. Come on. Anyone who wrote Cutting Edge can get a film made, in my mind. So other comments here. Lydia said this early on. Some of my favorite tiny funny moments are Partagas's flabbergast. That is when his character got flabbergasted. Excuse me. Yeah, so much wonderful praise put on Anton Lesser. Kyber in Game of Thrones, all that stuff. Long career. There's a great interview out there. I linked it in the ForceCenter Discord, but it's a great interview where you already know he's a great actor. But then the interview is this tiny, sweet British gentleman who's just like happy to be there and happy to be recognized and says, please come up and say thank you. It means a lot to me. And he's just a sweetheart and just this quiet little like, oh, hello. And to see what he turns into, it's like, I know how acting works. I've been on sets. I get it. But it was magical to watch him be interviewed and just know what he put out there as a character. And I love that Tony's out there giving him credit as, all respect to Ralph Brown and Rick Ollier, but handling exposition so masterfully, just wonderful all the way through.
He finds the personal in it, and he's like, "Why is this character saying it? And what does this character feel about it? And when is he feeling something real? When is he being intimidating? Like all those things." Maddie Gunner makes a great joke of flabbergast. Yeah, and I want to give credit because I don't think I have to our friend Alex Damon's great observation on his Andor discussion.
What has he done? What is that guy?
A few things. That Partagas begins with that great disease speech that there are surgeons cutting off disease, and his reflection at the end of his life is that look, the Nemec speech is the disease, and it's spread, and it can't be contained, and it never could have been. People were asking, discussing a little bit about his taking of his life, and I think there is that real practical, like, I'd rather go out this way than be tortured and humiliated and narkina'd and all those things. But I also feel like there is room to consider how much he says, I've always been very pragmatic, and my life's work is futile. I have tried to contain a thing that can't be contained. That has been my point to exist, and the point of my existence is impossible.
Yep. And obviously we know there's historical context with villains and bunkers and all that kind of stuff. So all that worked, but it was, and I think it's been I think we talked about it, and we tried to talk about it carefully because of the characters we're talking about and who they're aligned with. But it just was such a moment of humanity in a weird way between his subordinate, but also I love what you're saying of just like all humanity aside, this man whose existence was to snuff this out. Just that line of like it won't stop spreading or whatever you said specifically. Can't remember, but just whispering it. It's just like you said, I'm nothing now. And so not only am I not going out that way, there's no point. There's no point. and you're eaten up by the system you tried to build up again.
And he just seems smart enough and understanding enough of human instinct and culture to be like, yeah, this is impossible. He's got that great line too, Krennic, about like, you got to get it done. It's amazing we've contained it for as long as we have. Of like, while he's instituting all these things and while he's running, his part of the IBS is like, ISB.
Same thing.
A little bit different. The time banger and IBS agent part of gas is making contribution.
Our weekend's about to begin, and our weekends really are just more work. So, shout out to Chris King, who just said that great call. No question. Just thanks for all you. For how thoughtfully, critically, and empathetically you guys examine Star Wars. Your analysis is always based on the story presented and it's mindful and inclusive. Thank you, Chris. Always appreciate you here and the blathering, too. Wonderful, thoughtful stuff. We've got, Maddie Gunner. Bix killing Dr. Gorse by blasting Creed full volume in his ears is a top moment for me. Yeah. Earned indeed. And just one of those little... I won't say you needed it like I'm demand art to scratch my my back or my itch, but just like so earned for that character, and love it wasn't forgotten. Cupcakes and all.
Speaking of which, like we've talked a lot, about Dedra's culpability in the horrible torture of Bix, but also like it feels like a weird thing to celebrate. But in terms of Andor's use of the pulpy in science fiction, the Empire annihilated this specific species, and the screams of their young as they died have a like Lovecraftian name that can't be heard without driving you mad. Like that was one of the more pulpy moments, just like where that actual torture came from,
Yeah, I know what you're saying because it's horrific on so many levels, but I like it. I'm glad it's there, and I would love, GoPro footage of the writer's room at that point, trying to, what should it be? What if?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah,
love it. A few more minutes left here in the show, so get your questions in here. Commander Green checking in. My favorite scene is something simple. Love Cassian Bix went shopping. It was all the detail in the shop that made it so real. Love that scene. Love the slice of normalcy that Bix wants and is kind of getting out of it, but that Cassian can't allow himself to have. Love that reoccurring theme with Bix putting flowers in the safe house, all that kind of stuff. And just in terms of just Star Wars of it all, being a fan, being fans like we are, just down on the ground at Coruscant, going shopping. Like, this is what it's like. Remind me of some of the scenes from Amelie when she goes down to get some fruit down at the stand. Like, I love everything about it. So.
Yeah, no, it's that Bix craving a little bit of life, and I mean that's great tension to where they end up with Cassian going, you're gonna choose real life, you're gonna choose being friends with the shopkeeper, and I've done 180. We can't do that.
Yep, indeed. Star Wars bodegas exist, says Robin, which means there's bodega Lothcats.
Yeah, where was the bodega Tuca?
The bodega Tuca.
Come on.
Exactly. A Mandalorian highlighting something we talked about earlier, and you said earlier, the escape after the speech is my favorite. We watch Mon absorb and realize she's not alone while she experiences the violent, brutal consequences of rebellion for the first time. Just highlighting that again. Love that. Working through some of this stuff here. Nick says, I love the Cassian. It's a go for it.
No, I was just going to say it's a great continuation of the arc of, even though Mothma knows that the driver is a spy, that she chides Perrin for not remembering his name. So there's that bit of humanizing him. So even though she knows he's a spy and he's a danger, he's a real human to her, which is, I think, the shock of him being brutally shot. Yeah,
no. Absolutely right there. Love that Cassian, says Nick, Cassian takes a moment to water the plants before to head off to slow motion walk to the ring of Kafrene. I agree with that. It's there. I love that. Continuing what we were talking about with Bix.
I have not been a plant person at all in my life. And then almost 2 years ago now, we kept getting plants from Descanso Gardens. We can buy little ones. And I and we got one, and it died, and then I just suddenly had one of those moments of like, but I'm here every day. Why don't I actually take responsibility for the plant? I'll put it in the right place in the apartment, and I'll actually water it and pay attention to it. And I become, and then I got one for my birthday, so I got 2 plants. And I think because it's a more recent change in my life, my wife's allergic to animal fur, so we can't have animals. I haven't had animals in a long time, and just like there is something healing about caring for another living thing, as you well know, Ken, with your dogs and your squirrels, and you probably got bats you're taking care of now.
Soon.
Yeah, that tenderness and that desire for home, and it's like, I don't know when I'll be back, but I got to take care of my little guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Tell me about it. The other day, yesterday, I had to break up a fight between 4 crows and my beloved Kylo the squirrel. I had to go outside and defend him, chase off the damn crows. Not my squirrel, but yeah, no. Yeah,
I'm glad to see I'm not alone. Robin says I became a plant mom during COVID. Addie says I've become a plant mom. It gives me a sense of purpose. Yeah, I like being a plant dad.
Yeah, we had a lot of plants in the house, but now I do not. So maybe I'll pull in a plant.
I'll bring one over when I come to visit the squirrels.
We got some. Addie with a super chat. Thank you for that. About 10 minutes left in the show, folks. If you have any questions, super chats, get them in now. Addie says, not a moment, but an Andor question. Now that we know not everyone dies, did Brasso have to die? I think it's a fair question. I would have liked to have seen him around the corner on Andor, but he got to go. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that I don't know that individually Brasso as a character needed to die. I think it was smart for the show to not just have everybody live, because I think it would have undercut the reality and the sacrifices and the brutality. And of the characters who were on the chopping block, if the writers were approaching it as someone in Cassian's little family needs to go, is it going to be Bix, Willman, B2 Emo, or Brasso? I think Brasso was the right choice.
Yep. Sorry, Maddie. I know you're going to curse Tony Guerrero's name for that, but it's because we love Brasso so much, man. But yeah,
I loved him. But yeah,
that is the cost. Indeed. Rick had highlighted this moment, which we always joke about and will forever. Who's Clea from Radis is absolutely gold. Star Wars gold. It's up there with some of the great Star Wars one-lines of all time. Aaron highlighted this earlier to talk about Saw Gerrera. All of your questions about whether or not I'm on Jedi are answered by me. I'm not on Jedi. We need that as a Saw t-shirt. Where did I saw Lydia had one about Clea? We haven't talked about Clea as much. There you go.
No.
Lydia says, I love Clea's determination and strength and badassery, but also ultimately her tenderness. Can't wait for more storytelling with her. Talking about characters that are alive and still going, and I know there's Gilroy interviews out there, but I wanted to leave Lucasfilm some pieces, some morsels to play with if they wanted to going forward, and I agree with that. Clea's a fascinating character. I'm glad she lived. I'm glad she got to literally see the sunshine and the sunrise on Yavin the next day that Luthen did not get to see. And badass, all that stuff. Elizabeth Dula getting her hopefully career launching moment, even though she's done a ton of theater. She's not a rookie, but maybe more of a rookie in terms of TV and film. Everything about it's a win. But yes, celebrating Clea. I'm rewatching that episode 10 right now. Just a pitch perfect episode. Love everything about Clea.
Yeah, I think all the talk about the show needed to end with a bit of hope, and the Bix and Cassian relationship. That moment of hope was needed as it related specifically, intimately to Cassian. But in terms, for me, of hope, Clea's Mona Lisa smile, as Tony Gilroy has described it in interviews, is just so great to go from such fierceness and such a certainty that she would not be respected or wanted on Yavin, and maybe even imprisoned, to not only seeing what she built militarily, but seeing what she built in terms of what she was denied, which is community. I
Yes.
so love that detail that she's not just watching like the Pathfinders march by with their weapons. She's watching people come with drums, a connection to the Time Grappler, a connection to the Ewoks, but it's something that is music, it's community, it's passion, and seeing like that's what she built is like I said, such a great answer to her sort of like everything needs to be isolated, everybody needs to be isolated. That's what Luthen taught me. But like, what are the positives of coming together? Is like maybe we can have this fight, and maybe we can have community too, and maybe I can have community. It goes with Vel's I have friends everywhere line to her, but just like that's what she sees in the morning that makes her half smile. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and Addie says agrees. I need more Clay and more Vel storytelling. Glad Vel survives as well. Get more to her. No, everything you're saying I love, and just there is a reaction to the warmth, literally with the sun, but also what she's seeing, and we know the rebellion is not fully, it's not one piece yet, and it might never be. There's always going to be fighting the best ways to do this. I get that, but just representing a lot what you're talking about. If this thing's to go forward, you need what she's seeing. Right, she's seeing what is truly there for this rebellion, this rebel alliance. It's days away from its first big strike, as we know. Do you have any thoughts? We normally don't get to this on ForceCenter. We're not the wild predictions, or we have some fun. But I have been thinking, because I absolutely love the character of Clea. I've been thinking of like, where does she fit in to the rebellion going forward? Have you ruminated on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that she isn't going to suddenly be like, yes, I'm all about community and let me give speeches about togetherness.
Yeah.
I feel like she would be like, I need to find my way in this. And I think I hope that she's rebel intelligence, and that she's going on missions personally and moving up in the like, maybe she was involved in organizing those Bothans. Like, it feels like that what the spirit of the show Andor is that she would open up to an extent, but that she would stick to what she knows, which is espionage and communications. And I've seen the, what if Torrin Farr was Clea, and I get that that's meant to honor her communication skill, but I feel like I would like to see her in more of a leadership role.
Yeah, you don't sign that free agent and just say, can you be a pinch hitter in the 9th inning? Like, no, she's on the team. She's starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, look what she did in that hospital. Come on,
Come on, man. Come on. And Juan saying, again, Juan had the reference to the Bothans earlier, but we know, and Pablo Hidalgo had that tweet not too long ago of just like, we don't necessarily know what the Bothans are. Species group. We know from Legends, we got a little bit of those walking, talking lion bears or whatever they were. But it could be, something completely different. It could be a group, and it could be, I'm not rooting for Clea to die, but if Caroline Blankenston's Mothma is sad over who she knows was lost in that, that's why there could be it's moved beyond the meme to potential great story there.
Yeah, many Bothans died. Clea made it out. Camera shifts to Clea. Like, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And she's around the corner on Andor, where we want everyone to end up. And Saber Smith, thanks for the cheers and chat. There you go. All right. They're okay. They're goat people. They're lion bear goats. They're
from Greek mythology. They're lion bear goats.
They're lion bear goats. There are a lot of things.
Lion bear goats.
Oh, see, we need that answer. We need that. JC, talk about one of your favorite moments, Joseph, mine as well, but I know you really were moved by it. The moment with the Force Sealer was lovely on Yavin. And I know we keep referencing Tony, because Tony Gilroy and his team are out talking a lot. That's why there's a lot of wonderful interviews out there. Highly recommend all of them. But him just saying that he kind of felt that, it should be there. Like, for a show that is about boots on the ground, is about the other people. It is about, downstairs versus upstairs. And as he said, hey, Pablo told me not a lot of people this time even really understand or know what the Force is anymore in a short amount of time. The Empire and the Emperor have been successful in kind of clearing the books of that. This moment, super powerful because of a lot of that and other things.
And because how directly it ties to Han in the first film thinks that's all a malarkey, right? But hearing Dodonna say it is like, that's part of the belief system, the perspective of this rebellion. So tying into that, I just the scene is beautiful. I love what it means to bring the Force in that way. I love what it means for Cassian's journey and how it shapes it and how it shapes Bix's desire to believe in it. I love the nuance of it. The Force, you're like, I don't know, maybe having a family is your destiny. I don't know. I just sense that you do have a destiny. It's really important, and I sense that you're a messenger, but I don't know what it means. Like, I love that it's not too on the nose, but more than anything, I love how much it moves her and how much it freaks out Cassian. It feels so honest. Because it's fun to watch as a story, but I think as most of us, if somebody came up to us and was like, I was gonna, give you a massage for your shoulder, but you have a destiny, I think that would freak out most of us.
I think, yeah. You go to the mall and go to one of them sit down chairs. Now that I've touched you, you might be up to something.
Yeah. but her thank you is so beautiful, right? To feeling something real and true and powerful.
Yeah, indeed. We are winding down here, folks, but we do have a final super chat, or at least a super chat here towards the end. Matty Gunner sending us some pounds from the great UK out there. Do you think Dewey and Freedy ended up scobbing the Empire and joining the rebellion? Yeah, you know what? Yes, they're there. Maybe not an Empire. They're maybe on the Battle of Sullust or something. They're out there. I like that idea. That once things really start to happen, because that's 5 years ago, right, into the Star Wars story from where we are at the end of this series. So they start to see what's happening. They see the Gorman, all that stuff, Death Star, Alderaan. I think that was their breaking moment. They're in the fight.
Yeah, no, they're firing their weird gummy web shooters into Imperial machinery all the time.
Yes. Don't you take those squiggly dinners. All right. Any final comments here? We got to go in for Marjo. Going through here. Make sure we don't leave. There's this one here.
Go ahead.
Marjo 32. I think somehow it's gotten kind of sidelined, but let us never forget the stories about a brown man with a resolve stronger than steel who defiantly looked the Empire in the eye and didn't blink. I agree with that. This show, it's Andor. Andor is the main character all the way through, I think, but also there's such a wonderful cast of characters and performers that it feels like an ensemble at times. Even the season starts with your lead character kind of trapped on a ship and watching these rebels fight, and there's that kind of criticism you could make in terms of just a reviewer of a TV program. But it's Andor all the way through. But I love what Marjo's saying, because that's definitely, especially just the beginning scene in that brothel with the corporate security officers, the cops that he's shooting and killed, and them stopping him and them making the comments and everything. It's so real world coded, but that's the center of the story, and that's probably why Diego Luna's there to tell it. That's why he came back. He wouldn't. I think. I know you got the other version that was maybe more story of the week and spy and everything, and you sign up for that, but it wasn't working. And he's an executive producer, so I got to imagine he might be one of the people that said this isn't working for me. And where they land with the story they tell is, as you said at the top of the show, Joseph, just from a place of truth.
Yeah, no, I think that's great to recenter that real world truth, and I think there are echoes of it all throughout Andor, in my opinion, with Cassian's backstory, Cassian's importance, and I think, like we talked about on the show, I think the difference between Ferrix being destroyed by the Empire and the difference between Gorman in the way those places are coded and how much the galaxy is or isn't going to pay attention to them based on socioeconomic cultural realities. I think the show was very aware of the power that they had in Diego Luna.
Absolutely. I think it was our buddy Rick, and we talked about it on the show, but Rick in chat here now, I remember he posted right away, Blue Sky, the connections from the Gorba massacre to the 1968 Mexico City massacre at the hands of the military there. Pretty clear, down to some tragic beats. So the show knew what it was doing. So Marjo, I think you're absolutely right about that. All right. Super chat here. Do you think Linus Mosk joined the rebellion if Cyril died? Yeah, maybe. I think he might have tried to apply for the Empire. Honestly,
I think so.
Just been like, hey, I got some credits. Look at my resume. I got some experiences you might need. I think
there's a very sad scene where Mosk visits the memorial wall for the Gorman massacre that the Empire puts up as propaganda, since they're hitting on that so hard. And I think Cyril's got a little star, and I think Musk lays his cap down there.
Oh, sir. Dr. Professor says, my own head cat in Moscow was fighting side by side with the Ewoks. Maybe he learned the lesson. I like the story of redemption.
Yeah, let's imagine that he found out what happened to Cyril in truth.
Yeah, in truth, indeed. I love that the Bothan debate goes on. The Bothans, they kind of look like lionhead people with pointy ears, but that's in Legends. They've never been identified in canon, and many inside Lucasfilm keep doing that. You don't know what they look like.
I'll throw that out as one final favorite moment. There's fomenting.
Yes,
the Ewoks are fomenting.
The Ewoks fomented. Also, the fact that was one of the, going back to what you were saying about the coagulated gravy. I am not a wordsmith. I'm a $1 word guy, but it was fomenting, and obviously, we know what fomenting means. But there was an early kind of argument going around because one of the closed captions was wrong on the trailer, and so people thought it was fermenting, and there was like, no, it's fomenting, and it was one of those wonderful Star Wars debates that you spend a week on.
They're making craft beer on Ferris, which they absolutely are. That is a craft beer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Some homemade Revnog. All right, everybody. I think that is it. That is our time. We appreciate you all here today. We're not done talking about Andor. We're not done celebrating it, but we wanted to spend this time with you in the month in which the series ended. So there you go. Final thoughts from you, sir, and then we'll get on out of here.
No, thank you all for being here and for your deep thoughts and sharing everything. And I think the Time Grappler or the Time Banger is telling us it's time for Ken to get to his comedy show. So thanks, everybody.
There we go. All right, we'll see you all next time. You know where to find us and follow us. The links down below here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening later, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, give us a like, but also we appreciate you listening. And patreon.com/ForceCenter. Next month, you can call in. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Oh